Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your news edition. These are the headlines. President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, in a speech to the nation before members and deputies of both chambers of the parliament, praises parliamentary dynamism through strengthening legislative powers, introducing laws on nationality and colonialism criminalization, and reaffirms commitment to political dialogue and development programs. We will review 1 year of presidential leadership, key projects, strategic moves, and historical decisions. As Algeria's term at the UN Security Council ends, Benjamin reaffirms Algeria's steadfast commitment to international peace and security. A year of strikes and mass protests in Morocco. The citizens continue to protest and express their anger against social injustice and life conditions. Welcome back. The President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, arrived at the International Center of Conferences to deliver a speech to the nation before the two chambers of the Parliament. Upon his arrival, he was welcomed by the General and Commander of the Republican Guard, the President of the Council of the Nation, and the President of the People's National Assembly. The President of the Republic hailed the government executives who welcomed him: the Prime Minister, the President of the Constitutional Court, the Cabinet Director of the Presidency of the Republic, the General Secretary of the Presidency of the Republic, the State Minister for Foreign Affairs, National Community Abroad and African Affairs, the State Minister for Hydrocarbons and Mines, the State Minister in charge of Inspection for the Government and Local Authorities, the Minister of Interior, Local Authorities and Transport, the Minister of Justice and Seals Keeper, the Minister of Finance, and the Private Secretary to the President of the Republic. The President of the Republic, Abdelmadjid Tebboune, delivered a speech to the nation before the two chambers of the Parliament, a yearly tradition considered as a constitutional devotion since 2023. During this ceremony, attended by government's high executives and representatives of national organizations, the President highlighted the dynamism that characterized the Parliament and its standing through strengthening the legitimate authority power by exercising its right to initiate legislative proposals, including the nationality law and the criminalization of colonialism. The President of the Republic reaffirmed its devotion to continue the political dialogue with the parties and continue the implementation of sustainable development programs. The President affirmed that justice will continue its fight against corruption. Regarding economy, the President of the Republic affirmed that Algeria entered an important phase reflected by investment dynamism and the decrease of inflation rate. The President of the Republic affirmed that the Garage Bilad iron ore is the third biggest ore deposit in the world with a new phosphate production. The President of the Republic affirmed that Algeria will not abandon the social aspect of the government in accordance with the Declaration of November 1st, 1954, reflected by decisions taken in several sectors such as housing, education and health. The President of the Republic also reaffirmed Algeria's unwavering support to fair causes worldwide, at their head the Palestinian and the Sahrawi causes. 2025 has been a year of action for President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, a year marked by field visits, structuring decisions and a clear strategic direction. From the deep south to the north coasts, the state has asserted its presence without exception.
"2025 will be remembered as a turning point in presidential action, a year where commitments translated into action and where strategic choices were carried through on the ground. For President Abdelmadjid Tebboune, governance has followed a simple principle: decide, act, deliver. Throughout the year, the authority of the state was affirmed nationwide, with no region left aside. The South occupied a central place in this approach. The presidential visit to Bashar sent a strong message: both political and economic. Politically, it reaffirms nationwide cohesion. The state remains present across all its territory. Economically, the visit highlighted a new development logic, one that positions the South as a future engine of production and growth, notably in the fields of agriculture, mining, and industry. At the heart of the vision, Bashar, Tindouf, and Garaj Bilat mine, an infrastructure designed to unlock potential, facilitate extraction, and connect national resources to broader economic circuits.
اللي كان حلم صبح حقيقة، ولا واحد كان يظن أن يوم من الأيام يكون فيه قطار في العبادلة ومحطة قطار في العبادلة، وإن شاء الله نزيدوا نواصلوا في هذا المنوال حتى نوصل نتمنى متفقين منا من العبادلة نزيد نكمل حتى الأضرار، ومن أضرار إن شاء الله الباجي مختار، ومن الجانب الشرقي حتى طمراس، من المنيا حتى طمراسي، وبالتالي الجيل تاعنا يكون أدى ما عليه بالنسبة لجيل الثورة، هو حرر البلاد وإحنا نزيد نبنيها، واللي يجوا من بعدنا يزيدوا يكملوا إن شاء الله.
The course then shifted towards Constantine, a city famous for its bridges and history, and of the future as well.
أعيدكم وأكرر الوعد أن كل ما تحتاجه قسنطينة فسنلبيه إن شاء الله.
The visit was marked by decisions with strong economic and social impact, encouraging investment, supporting enterprise, and above all, placing youth at the heart of all decisions, a segment today considered as the driving force of development. A massive and very popular welcome which reflects the trust between the citizen and the President of the Republic. This trust is expressed by the feeling of improvement felt thanks to all decisions of the President. Another strategic file in 2025 is water. Faced with water stress and climate change, the President opted for anticipation. In Oran, Musta'anim, and the Tarf, several seawater desalination plants were inaugurated.
نعطيهم كلمة رسمية أن ما نخلي حتى جزائري في العطش أبدا.
An investment in long-term infrastructures, because tomorrow water will no longer be merely a resource, it will become a major geopolitical stake. Algeria makes the choice of technological mastery and hydric independence.
We can guarantee water security thanks to the stations we have built and to our capacity to master the technology that governs them. Water will be at the heart of tomorrow's wars. That is why the approach adopted by the President of the Republic has been wise and proactive in order to respond to the requirements of water security.
Throughout the year, Council of Ministers meetings have imposed themselves as the beating heart of public governance, follow-up, clear arbitration, structuring decisions, among them promotion of administrative districts in provinces in their own right, the strengthening of purchasing power, the consolidation of social protection and national protection. 2025 thus refers to a year of action, of decision, anchored in reality, a vision turned towards the future, and an affirmed will to build, in continuity, a sovereign, resilient Algeria, capable of facing the challenges of tomorrow. 2025 thus...
Algeria's permanent representative to the United Nations, Ammar Ben Jama, affirmed that Algeria fulfilled its mission at the Security Council as a non-permanent member. He reiterated Algeria's constant devotion to defend global peace and security, as well as respect of international legality. During a meeting of the Security Council on the growing threats against international peace and security, Ammar Ben Jama delivered a speech in which he insisted on the responsibility of the international community in handling tensions, hotspots, and preventing the spread of conflicts with fair and sustainable political solutions that respect the sovereignty of governments and peoples. We listen.
L'Algérie va quitter ce Conseil avec le sentiment du devoir accompli.
Algeria will be leaving this council with a sense of duty fulfilled. I would like to say to my colleague and to the elected members, both the current elected members of this council and those who will have the heavy responsibility of joining it, to persevere. To persevere and always strive to associate all members of the council with their efforts, both permanent and elected members, in the pursuit of our shared objective, which I firmly believe is the preservation of international peace and security, while adding what gives elected members their true relevance: justice. Thank you.
En y ajoutant ce qui fait
Ammar Benjama is the Diplomat of the Year 2025, according to the American independent media Pass Blue, after its yearly survey regarding the UN Diplomats of the Year. Pass Blue affirmed that Benjama defended tirelessly the fair causes, particularly the Palestinian cause, as well as the respect of the international legality during Algeria's term at the Security Council. As the year comes to an end, Gaza is facing unprecedented humanitarian and demographic crisis. Thousands of civilians have lost their lives, while living conditions continue to deteriorate amid ongoing aggression. Details with Melissa Kabesh.
As the year draws to a close, the world is witnessing a devastating humanitarian catastrophe unfolding in the Gaza Strip, where civilians continue to bear the brunt of relentless aggression. According to the Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics, Gaza is experiencing an unprecedented demographic decline. The population has dropped by more than 10%, a direct consequence of mass casualties, missing persons, and a dramatic collapse in birth rates, as living conditions deteriorate under extreme circumstances. The human toll continues to rise since the beginning of December. Many people have died due to severe cold waves sweeping across the enclave. These harsh weather conditions have further worsened an already critical situation. Buildings weakened by bombardments have collapsed, while more than 90% of tents sheltering displaced families have been torn apart or flooded, leaving thousands without shelter and stripped of their most basic possessions. The Palestinian Central Bureau of Statistics has revised Gaza's population figures to account for deaths, disappearances, and the sharp decline in births. The population now stands at approximately 2.114 million, down from the projected 2.349 million, representing a 6% decline compared to mid-2024 and more than 10% compared to mid-2025. This comes amid the staggering toll of the ongoing aggression against Gaza. Over the past 2 years, more than 65,000 people have been killed and at least 170,000 injured. Humanitarian organizations warn that these figures likely underestimate the reality on the ground, as many victims remain trapped under rubble. Despite repeated ceasefire announcements, violations persist, exacerbating an already dire situation. Hunger, diseases, and the collapse of the healthcare system continue to weigh heavily on the lives of Palestinians as the international community watches a deepening humanitarian tragedy unfold.
As 2025 comes to close, Morocco looks back on a year of unrest, from widespread strikes to mass protests. Citizens voiced their frustrations over the economy and employment and controversial reforms. The streets were alive with calls for change, and the fight is far from over. Basma Far with the details.
In Moroccan streets, protests have marked 2025. Thousands of workers took to the streets, holding banners and chanting slogans, demanding change and justice. Throughout the year, demonstrations and strikes multiplied, triggered by unions after the controversial strike law was passed. The call for action was widely followed across both public and private sectors. Economic slowdown and corruption and unemployment have fueled public frustration. Citizens demand better purchasing power, improved working conditions, and the implementation of promises they considered insufficient. Major sectors responded to the calls for strikes, partially paralyzing administration, services, and businesses. The scale of mobilization shows dissatisfaction that goes beyond individual grievances. New voices emerged, particularly among the youth, expressing anger over an uncertain future and controversial reforms. This movement gave rise to nationwide general strikes and the birth of Gen Z 212. The authorities responded with clear force, police repression, violence, and arbitrary arrests. Human rights organizations condemned the crackdown, further fueling the Moroccan people's frustration. After a year marked by strikes and protests, demands persist. Despite widespread mobilization, the government's silence continues to deepen social unrest. Meanwhile, Moroccans remain determined to continue their fight for change.
And we wrap up our edition with sports as the men's football national team is ready to face Equatorial Guinea on Wednesday at 5 p.m. for the third and last game of the group stage of the 2025 African Cup. Already qualified for the round of 16, Algeria is willing to win and get 9 points out of 9. And with this, we come to the end of our edition. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being with us. Have a good night.